thing, remember to put, this is like the second or third section of the test. Remember to put the face for the positive and negative. You might want to write out this equation, keeping in mind that the M is your movement and B is beginning. We did this one in class the other day where we said the B was starting at 0, 1, and the rise over run, it was positive. In the other class this morning, we looked at number 4. A lot of people got mixed up when they looked at this question where it said M was 2. So they put down 2, and what they did was they went down to 0, -3. And if you haven't done these, you should make sure you're doing it with me at the same time. So I had these tomorrow when you turn it in. You have all of these done. So when I look at number 4, you're starting at this point 0, -3, because that's on my Y. Not on the X, it's on the Y. And then some people said, oh, it's 2. That means I'm going to go up 2 and put a point. I'm going to go up 2 and put a point. No, the reason you always want to look at that is it's rise over run. And then as I'm looking at yours, because the face slants up for positive, I know I'm going up 2 and over 1. And someone said, well, I can't, if we keep doing that, you want to keep going, up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. Then tomorrow in the test, I'll hand out rulers for you. You'll draw a nice straight line through that. Okay? Questions on any others on this page we need to look at? Okay. Be the most common mistake on the test will be people will write an equation. Does it ask you for an equation? No. It says find the slope. All I want to know is M equals. You should be looking at the rise over run, and you should look at the face. The reason I want to draw the face on that first part of the final is that I want to make sure if my line goes up to the right that it is positive. So I know 7 has to be positive. I know 2 has to be positive. I know that when I look at question number 1, it goes down to the right, that slope is negative. And then I'm going to pick 2 points on that line, and I'm going to count. How far did I go down? How far did I go over? Same thing in number 4. I know my slope is negative, and then I'm going to put the rise over the run. I'm going to put those 2 numbers. Okay? I will not take off points if you don't simplify. So if you leave 2 over 4, I'm going to leave that correct, right? 2 over 4 does simplify to 1/2. Okay? The reason the face is going to be important is because you're probably going to see a horizontal line. And when you look at the mouth, here you see the 0 at the end, and that reminds us that the slope in number 5 should be 0. And I look at number 6, and some of you are, I'm not sure if it should be 0 or undefined. If you look at the face and you have that U under the nose, and that's a vertical line, that's trying to tell you undefined. This is trying to tell you it's a 0. So those are just a good way of writing it down and kind of trying to get your brain to think of that. So when you're doing this homework, and I had some people say, well, how else can I study for this test, Mrs. Thompson? If you've already gone through and done these, but you get confused on positive or negative, I take a look at some of those Quizlets that I put up. Or just go back and cover up your answer and try and write the problem again and try and get the right answer, right? I want you to look, the biggest part where I have so many people making mistakes or not understanding is that next part of equations. That's Unit C. It's been a long time since we've studied equations, okay? So because it's been such a long time in studying equations, I want you to notice that I put up, those of you that are done, or if you want more practice, I put a Quizlet of solving equations, one with linear, nonlinear, one with functions, not a function, and finding the slope and y-intercept in story problems. If you look at this Quizlet, and you're doing the problems, and we are just looking at the flashcards, I just want you to be aware, like, if we are looking at this one, they're going to give you sometimes the problem and your answer as you're looking at that. So we need to get this answer, but you should, if you're doing this Quizlet, I do it on a piece of paper, right?
X equals minus 7/3. 2x. 1 equals 4. X equals minus 7. 4-10 x equals 1. 3 plus 4x equals 9x plus 6-2x.
In the last class, we did number 9. When you look at number 9, we said we'd simplify 3p over 9 to be 1/3. And the first step is we're trying to get that by itself, variable by itself when you solve. We subtracted 12, got 15. We need to finish this problem. Since it's 1/3 times p, what do I have to multiply on both sides? The reciprocal, 3/1. So the answer that you're going to get is going to be here. Remember, we talked about how you can check answers. So if I don't see these done on your problems, you should make sure you have this problem done that I've just done up here. If you look at number 11, if you don't have number 11 done, we're on page, what page are we on? 48. So those of you on page 48, so you should have number 9 done now and finish that one. As you look at number 11, you didn't have number 11 done before this. You're going to add 8 to both sides and get a fraction, the 6/7 x by itself. It equals 15. To solve the problem, you could do it a different way. You could have multiplied by 7 and then divided by 6, but it's probably a lot easier to multiply by the reciprocal on both sides. I didn't put the answer because you can put the numbers in your calculator as well as I could. But this is how you have to solve. I do want to go through 14 with you because people are really kind of forgetting how to do those with the variable. So if you look at 14 and then we can look at any other questions, this is the answer. And I'm great if you can just put the answer. But what I see some of you doing is you just have the answer and you don't have any work to go with it. So if we look at the problem said you had r, and that's really 1r, right, minus 1n equals 1r plus 1cx. And this c times x, that's what you are trying to solve for was the x. So I want to circle that. I need this by itself. First step, Fisher, if I want to get cx by itself would be to do what? To get rid of this 1r. I'm going to subtract 1r. I do that on both sides, and I want to line it up under this r. So we are on this question. You want to write this down and do it with us on question number 14. So everyone should be doing 14. If you did not write down 9 and 11, you should make sure you have those two down. So I'm subtracting 1r from 1r. That's 0. Minus, I'm left with 1n, equals 0 plus cx. Thank you. If I am looking at that, 0 minus 1n is just, some of you like to write just minus n, yes, or minus 1n, equals 1cx, or just cx. We were asked to find x. If we are finding x, that means I need, if it would have been 2 times x, a lot of you would tell me I'm dividing both sides by 2. This one says c times x. That means we're going to divide both sides by c. C divided by c here is 1. So I get 1x equals the negative, and if you had 1n divided by 1c, that's fine. If you have negative n divided by c, that'd be fine. I would take it either way. If you want to put a 1 in front of them, I will never mark that wrong. That coefficient is always 1. Equations. A lot of the other classes had questions on the fraction ones. They're like, I don't get these fraction ones. So this is similar to that last one that we did. If you look at number 27 and you have 5/17 times n, remember your goal is to get 1n. You're trying to solve what is n equal to. So if you multiply both sides by the reciprocal, which is the 17/5 on both sides, you get 1n. And now on your calculator, you have to take 17 times negative 9 divided by 5 to get that answer. Number 28 is even quicker because it just says h divided by 5 equals negative 7. The opposite of dividing by 5 is to multiply by 5. So you do it on both sides to get negative 35. Question 21 seems to give people a few more problems. When you start number 21, I would think of any time you have something added or subtracted, think of that as being in a parenthesis. So again, a lot of you don't like fractions, so when you eliminate your fractions, you should be multiplied on both sides by negative 5. So that's this first step that I showed here. Negative 10 times negative 5 this whole side of the equation times -5. So please write if you don't have this one done. I know I'll have at least all these ones that are up here done on yours. That might be your 1 point on the page for some of you that aren't writing anything. So I now multiply on both sides by -5, and I am left with a +50 equals 9 plus z. I'm trying to find z. So if I want to get one z by itself, I subtract 9. I didn't finish solving the problem, so you got to finish it yet, right? So you're going to say 50 minus 9 is equal to z and give me your answer. As you look at questions, anything else from the equations that I could answer? Chris? Yeah. So 24. You could. Some people do like to remove the fractions right away. Yeah, so sometimes we could do like we did before where we add or subtract, but I might in this one take every single thing times 5. So I'm going to take 3p over 5 times 5. I'm going to take 8 over 5 times 5. And I'm going to take 1 times 5. So I might multiply every single one by 5 because I don't want to deal with fractions and, oh man, they kind of messed me up and I have problems with them. So when I've done that, this is 15p divided by 5. Simplified is 3p. This is 8 times 5, or 40, divided by 5, which is just going to be 8, equals 5. That's a much easier problem for some of you to solve. Make sure you're writing this down. So as you are looking at that problem to solve in number 14, 3p plus 8 equals 5, much easier. James?
I should just do what times 3 equals 1 more than 8.
You could have. You could have in that one. That doesn't work all the time. This was a pretty simple one. I don't know if it's at that level of easiness on the final. But so I would recommend maybe thinking of it the other way. But yeah, I mean, if you look at that one, you subtract 8 from both sides, and you get -3. So if we're looking at that one, we need to have p equaling a negative. And in this case, it had to be -1. Okay. Questions on any other equations, anything else on this page, or any other comments on how you're doing it? A and 10B, and you're sitting in advisory today, or you're looking at stuff, I would make sure you go to some of these Quizlets. If you go to the equation one, which we pulled up, I would write this equation in the back cover or inside your workbook and see if you can work it out to get the answer as you're looking at that, okay? But there's many of them. So, Jacqueline, question? Number which one? Yep, 34. So, 34, when you look at it, as I look at that question that came up in another class, I want to identify my B first. That's my beginning point. 0, 3, because that's the number in the back. When I look at your test, I look at these two things are exactly the same. That's the first thing I look at on your test. So the 3 and this one at a 3. The next thing I am taking a look at is I'm going to look at your slope. This was a -4/3. That tells me because of the I, when I think about that it's going down to the right. So from this point, I'm going to go down 4 and count over 3. So I go down 4 and I go over 3 and I place my point, and I can't do it again, so I only have the 2 points on number 34. Okay? Any other questions on slopes or looking at those ones? 35 to 40, as you look at those 2 pages, a lot of you got, kind of got the slope and y-intercept mixed up, or what they meant on the last test. So questions on any of those? How much are they earning per hour? So I might find, this is my x, this is my y. I'm going to take the y, if we started the unit, and divide by x. So please take on your calculator 25.5 and divide it by 3. What if someone else takes 127.5 and divide it by 15? 170 divided by 20. Each time we get what? 8.5. So every time it comes out to 8.5, what that tells me is that my slope is 8.5. What does it mean in this problem? It means $8.50 per hour. The y-intercept? 0. Why? When you start working 0 hours, you get $0. Is it proportional? Proportional means it goes from 0, 0, and is a straight line. Okay? So as you are looking at those.